Let's clear this up right now, Secretary Kennedy. Will you tell America that all adults and all children over 6 months of age are eligible to get a COVID booster at their local pharmacy today?
Anybody can get the booster.
I'm sorry?
Anybody can get it, Senator.
Anybody. So you're saying that is now the official rule of HHS. Anybody is eligible to get a booster by just walking into the pharmacy.
It's not recommended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So last November, while you were under consideration to become Secretary of Health and Human Services, Mr. Kennedy, you said, quote, if vaccines are working for somebody, I'm not going to take them away. No exceptions, no ifs, ands, or buts. You would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. Then last week, you announced that the COVID-19 vaccine is no longer approved for healthy people under the age of 65. In announcing the change, you said the vaccine will be available for anyone who wants it. Now, obviously, both things cannot be true at the same moment. So let's clear this up right now, Secretary Kennedy. Will you tell America that all adults and all children over 6 months of age are eligible to get a COVID booster at their local pharmacy today?
Anybody can get the booster.
I'm sorry?
Anybody can get it, Senator.
Anybody. So you're saying that is now the official rule of HHS. Anybody is eligible to get a booster by just walking into the pharmacy.
It's not recommended for healthy people.
No. If you don't recommend, then the consequence of that in many states is that you can't walk into a pharmacy and get one. It means insurance companies don't have to cover the $200 or so cost. As Senator Dr. Cassidy said, you are effectively denying people vaccines.
We're not going to recommend a product for which there's no clinical data for that indication. Is that what I should be doing?
What you should be doing is honoring your promise that you made when you were looking to get confirmed in this job.
You're going like this.
And that is, you promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. You just changed the classification of the COVID vaccine.
I'm not taking them away from people, Senator.
It takes it away if you can't get it from your pharmacist.
Well, most Americans are going to be able to get it from their pharmacy for free. Most Americans will be able to get it from their pharmacy for free.
The question is everyone who wants it. That was your promise.
No, I didn't. I never promised that I was going to recommend products for which there is no indication.
When you said,
and I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
Did you hold up a big sign saying that you were lying when you said that? Because you are the one who said you would not take them away. Now, Senator Kennedy,
I'm not taking them away from anybody.
Secretary,
you want me to indicate a product for which there is no clinical data?
Senator,
is that what you want?
Secretary Kennedy, you said you wouldn't, and now you did.
I'm not taking them away. Everybody can get access to them.
No, they can't walk into a pharmacy the way they could last month and get access.
It depends on the state. It depends on the states.
A year ago,
but they can still get it. Everybody can get it. Everybody can get it, Senator.
So look, let's move on. You clearly are taking away vaccines. I've seen the list for what's coming up next, and that is the agenda for the next CDC vaccine panel. And first up is ratifying your COVID actions. Second is hepatitis B is on the agenda. So should Americans expect you to take away hepatitis vaccine access as well, even though you promised not to?
As I said, I'm not taking vaccines away from anybody.
Okay, same answer, right? You're just going to deny that when people can't get access, that you're not taking it away. Then let me ask you, is that the same game you're going to play with me?
You want me to recommend every product in the world so that without any clinical trial data?
Through on your promises.
Yeah, my promise was to give.
A month ago, we could get COVID vaccines by just walking.
You can still get COVID vaccines, Senator.
You are taking that away.
No, you are still. You can still get the COVID vaccines, and Medicare will still pay for them, and Medicaid will still pay for them.
Tell the head of the CDC that if she refused to sign off on your changes to the childhood vaccine schedule, that she had to resign.
No, I told her that she had to resign because I asked her, are you a trustworthy person? And she said no. So if you had an employee who told you they weren't trustworthy, would you ask them to resign, Senator?
So I'm sorry, but this is not what she has said publicly. She has said
I'm not surprised about that.
So you're saying she's lying?
Yes. Every conversation I had with her, there were witnesses.
Let me get this straight. This is the same person that less than a month earlier, you stood next to her and described her as unimpeachable, and you had full confidence in her, and that you had full confidence in her scientific credentials. And in a month, she became a liar?
Yeah, you should ask her what changed. And by the way, a month ago, you were voting against her. Oh, because you thought she was either incompetent, ineligible, or unsuited to the task.
I voted
Now I
against her
agree
because
with
I
you.
was afraid she was going to bend the knee to you and Donald Trump. And it looks like she didn't bend the knee, so you fired her. Look, you're putting America's babies' health at risk, America's seniors' health at risk, all Americans' health at risk, and you should resign.
Senator Sanders.
What we just witnessed in that hearing room was not a simple policy disagreement. It was a moment where words spoken months ago collided head-on with decisions being made today under oath in front of the nation. Senator Elizabeth Warren pressed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. with his own promise, a promise delivered clearly and without hesitation during his confirmation process, that vaccines would not be taken away from anyone who wanted them. And in that exchange, as the questioning tightened and the answers narrowed, something deeper was exposed. This was not about a single booster shot. It was about the meaning of access, the power of classification, and how a quiet regulatory shift can have real-world consequences without ever using the words ban or removal. When Senator Warren asked a direct, uncomplicated question, can any American simply walk into a pharmacy and receive a COVID booster today? The answer fractured into qualifications, conditions, and caveats. And in those cracks, the truth of the moment lived. Because in Washington, policy is often defended by technical language, but it is felt by ordinary people in practical terms. A recommendation determines whether insurance pays. A classification determines whether pharmacies stock a product. A panel agenda determines what remains available tomorrow. And when a health secretary says something is not recommended, the system responds, not emotionally, not politically, but mechanically. Coverage disappears. Access narrows, costs rise, and what once was simple becomes difficult or impossible. That is why this exchange mattered. Senator Warren was not arguing semantics. She was arguing consequences. She pointed out that when something is no longer recommended, it is no longer guaranteed. And when access depends on state rules, insurance policies, or out-of-pocket costs, then access is no longer universal. That is not a theory. That is how the system functions. Secretary Kennedy defended his position by invoking clinical data and scientific thresholds. He framed his decisions as evidence-based restraint rather than removal. And in a vacuum, that argument carries weight. Science should guide public health. Data should matter. But the conflict arises when scientific caution collides with public commitments made in pursuit of power. A promise once spoken does not vanish simply because the policy path becomes inconvenient. Then the hearing moved beyond vaccines and into something even more unsettling: credibility inside the institutions themselves. The exchange over the CDC official, who was described as unimpeachable one month and untrustworthy the next, was not a side issue. It was a warning signal. When trust is granted and revoked at political speed, it raises questions not just about the individual involved, but about the standards being applied behind closed doors. The moment Senator Warren highlighted that reversal, the room shifted. Because consistency is the backbone of public confidence. When leadership changes its assessment of character overnight, the public is left wondering what actually changed, the facts or the pressure. And when the explanation is that the official refused to comply, the implication becomes unavoidable. Independence in that telling becomes disloyalty. Resistance becomes grounds for removal. That is how institutions erode, not with dramatic announcements, but with quiet redefinitions of trust and obedience. This hearing revealed something fundamental about power in America. It showed how authority can insist it is preserving choice while reshaping the conditions that make choice possible. It showed how leaders can claim transparency while burying consequences inside bureaucratic language. And it showed how accountability only exists when someone is willing to sit across the table and refuse to let contradictions slide. Public health is not just about science. It is about trust. Trust that promises mean what they say. Trust that access does not depend on political favor. Trust that experts are valued for their independence, not punished for it. When that trust breaks down, the damage extends far beyond one policy or one agency. It reaches into the public's faith in the entire system. What happened in this hearing was uncomfortable to watch because it forced a confrontation between intention and impact. Between what was said to gain confirmation and what is now being defended as policy. Between the language of availability and the reality of access. And it reminded us that in government, the most consequential changes are often the ones described as technical adjustments. This is why oversight matters. This is why hearings matter. This is why these moments cannot be reduced to viral clips alone. Because behind every exchange like this is a larger question about how power is exercised, how promises are honored, and who bears the cost when they are not. In a democracy, authority does not belong to agencies, panels, or secretaries. It belongs to the people. And it is only preserved when leaders are held to their word, not just in spirit, but in effect. When policy is explained honestly, when consequences are acknowledged, and when those entrusted with decision-making remember that their legitimacy comes from public confidence, not institutional insulation. What we saw today was a reminder that accountability is not automatic. It has to be demanded, question by question, moment by moment. And it only survives when citizens pay attention. If you believe these moments matter, if you believe power should be questioned and promises should be kept, then stay engaged. Support independent oversight. And subscribe to Liberty Report USA, because the truth only survives when it is watched, challenged, and defended.